So in this video, I'm going to introduce you to the concept of controllers. But just before I do that, I just want to show you something else. So as you can see here, we're calling get and we're listening to /posts and returning a view. But there is a shortcut to this. So let me just show you this. So we can say root and then we can just say view. Now this expects two parameters and the first one is the root that it's going to match. So let's just do posts again. And then the second parameter is the view that it's going to return. So let's just return our posts here. And I'm just going to comment this one out for now. And as you can see, this is a lot cleaner and a lot easier to read than doing it this way. So if you do have a static page that you just want to return, this is how you can do it in a nice way. So you're doing a root view, you're listening for /posts, and you're going to return your post view. So let's just double check this in the browser. So I'm just going to hit refresh on this page. And as you can see, it works in exactly the same way. It's listened to /posts and it's returned our post view. So now let's have a look at controllers. So let's have a look at the documentation, and under the basics, you can see controllers. And this is all the information that you need to know about controllers. And like routing, these are extremely powerful and these are the beating heart of your application. So any request that comes into your application, you can route them to a controller, and then the controller decides what to do with that request and also how to send a response. So let's go down to writing controllers, and you can see here they have a basic controller example. And in this case, they're creating a user controller and they have a show method, and it takes in a string of an ID and it returns a view. And then just like we did in our root, they're doing a return view and they're returning a view of user.profile. And this is how you determine folder structures in Blade. So in this example application, under resources views, there'll be another folder called user. And then inside that folder, there'll be a profile.blade.php. And then here, they're returning a user. Now this is a little bit more of an advanced topic, interacting with a database. We're not going to be looking at in this video, but this is something we will get to in a later video. So let's jump over to our command line and actually just create our first controller. So over in our command line, you can see here we have our PHP server running. So I'm just going to open up a new tab. We need to keep that running in order for our application to keep running. And remember in the previous video, I mentioned the command line tool called Artisan. So let's just have a look at that again. So I'm going to say PHP Artisan to get a full list of the methods available to us. And let's just scroll up here. And we can see here we have a make category. And this is how we make different parts of the application. And that just creates a boilerplate for us. And we see here we have a make :controller. And this creates a new controller class. So let's take a look at that and create a new controller. So I'm just going to clear this screen. And then let's create the controller. So we can say PHP Artisan make :controller. And then as a final parameter, we give the controller name. Now it's best to name your controllers in the certain domain that they're going to be working. So this controller is going to handle everything to do with posts. So let's create a post controller. And then we just hit enter on this. And you see there, it's created the controller successfully for us. And that lives under app, HTTP controllers, post controller. So let's have a look at this in our editor. So if we come under app now, HTTP controllers, and we can see there now we have the new post controller. So let's just open this up. And you can see there now Laravel has created a basic boilerplate for us. So we have our namespace, which is under app HTTP controllers. That's where all our controllers live. And it's also bringing in Illuminate HTTP request. And this is just a copy of the incoming request to the application. So now let's create a method on here. So inside of our post controller class, let's just say public function. And I'm going to name this one index. But you can name this whatever you like. Normally a good standard to follow for your entry pages is to have them in an index method. So inside of here, I'm just going to do what we did inside of our root file and just return a view. So we can say return, and we want to return a view. And the view that we want to return is our posts view. So now that we have this set up, we need to let our router know that any incoming requests to /posts, we want it to route to this post controller and the index method. So let's have a look how we can do that. So over in our routes file, I'm just going to comment this route view out again. So you've got this in the code, and I will be uploading this code to my website so you can download it. There will be a link in the description of each video where you can download the code. Now I'm just going to uncomment this again. So this time, instead of returning the closure, we want to return the controller. So let me just delete this. So when we go to route get and we go to /posts, what we want to do is we need to create an array here, and we're going to return our post controller. So we can just type that in. You can see here PHP Storm has found our post controller. So I can just click on that and that'll fill that in for me. And we want to return the post controller class. And then as the next parameter in the array, what method do we want it to go to? Now I created an index method, so I want it to route to the index method. Now you can see here, as you build out the application and you create loads more routes, these can get quite long. So you might just want to import this at the top of your routes file. So PHP Storm can do this automatically for you. You can see there's a little light bulb here on the end. So if I just click this and then say replace qualifier with import, now that gets rid of that and it's just post control here. But at the top of our file, it's brought that in. So we're using app HTTP controllers post controller. So often you'll find in most Laravel applications, this is how the developers will program this. They will use the controllers up here, and then in their route, they'll simply just type in the shorthand for this, which is post controller, rather than having the fully namespace path inside of the route. So now that's in place, that should work exactly the same. So whenever a GET request comes into our application for /posts, it's going to go to our post controller class and it's going to execute the index method. And then over in our post controller, this is our index method, and it's simply going to return a view called posts, which is our posts.blade.php file inside of our resources views folder. So let's jump over to the browser and check this. So over in our browser, we're going to go to /posts again. So I'm just going to hit refresh on this page. And you can see nothing changed. It's still returning our view, but now our view return is outside of our routes file and it's inside of a controller. Now we can do a lot more stuff inside of this controller and it's not going to clog up our routes file.